Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL. And if the last 24 hours proves anything to me as a content creator, 2019's gaming news never takes a break. So I can't either. I can't even sit down for a minute and enjoy the Division 2, which we're going to jump into. One of today's big topics, but there was so much information dropped in the last 24 hours, and some big news is set to drop this weekend at PAX East. We're going to break that down. We're going to be talking about the Division. We're going to be talking about Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is launching next week. It's crazy. Great time to be a gamer, but I can guarantee that most people are poor because we can't afford all of these games. Now, before we break down all of these outstanding topics slated for today's show, I need to introduce my incredible panel. First up, you know her as being the nasty girl of Twitter in a good way. Coolest gamers, one of the coolest gamers I know, comic book fangirl, collector of anything that has the initials JRPG, super mom, and co-host to the outstanding Gaming After Dark with Noob Noogum. Please welcome the lovely Primal Eve.
Thank you, Boom. Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. This is probably by far one of my most favorite shows to be on. So thank you so much for having me, Boom.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. We always have a lot of fun talking, and again, it's great to have you. We don't know when the next time you're going to have off because congratulations, you got yourself
Yes.
a new job, and that's really
Yes, thank
awesome.
you.
So good
I'm
things are
excited.
happening for you. You're a good person. You deserve it.
Thank
So
you.
welcome once again. Next up, he's known on these YouTube streets as the Nautical. But hey, guess what, folks? He hates the water, so I'm not sure what's going on. A gamer who has infiltrated the hierarchy of the GameStop Corporation and has systematically been changing the system for the good and the better of the people from within. A guy that's on a podcast who is not afraid to give you his opinion and tell you to your face that you're wrong. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
Yo, what's up, Boo, man? I would second what Primal just said. Love this show, man. It's like second home compared to being on Brap too. So always welcome to be here with you, brother.
I definitely appreciate that. That's awesome. And last, and no way least, his personal bodyguards will crush you for just looking in his direction. MMA fighting champion of Twitter, Xbox Game Pass stockholder, and a gamer who wants every game on every system. Please welcome So Shady.
The one and only Mr. BoomStickXL. Thank you so much for having me on. I actually think the last time I did a show was our Crackdown special a few weeks ago, which was incredible. I had such a great time doing that show, and it is good to be back. The topics, like you said earlier, they just do not stop, man. If anything, they're getting hotter. Like the closer we get to E3, there's just a lot of gossip, a lot of rumor with the apparent Take-Two buyout the other day being debunked. I'm not sure how anyone believed that myself, but I mean, like, there's a lot going on, so I'm excited to be here. Let's get this going.
You know what? We're going to open up the show with the hot button topic. And of course, that is the Division 2, which released today or last night at midnight, or in some places, if you bought the physical copy, 9 o'clock. For people who bought the $100 and $120 edition, we've been able to play since Tuesday. Because I'm such a big fan, I went for the maximum edition. I want all of the content, all of the gear that came with it. And it's releasing to rave reviews, and for a lot of great reasons. Unlike what happened with Anthem, where the game launched with very little content, lots of problems, a lot of community complaints on all sides of the coin. The Division 2 had a seamless launch on Tuesday evening. And or Monday evening, more specifically at midnight, because that's when I actually started playing. But you know what? The one thing I think that's amazing about what Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment have been able to do with this particular game is they really focused on the end game. And from what we've seen and what we've heard, the end game in the Division 2 is as big, possibly bigger than some games as a whole. And that in itself is ridiculous, because you're going to get to play to level 30. You're going to get all your gold gear. You're going to get all your exotics. You're going to do, you're going to clear your single player campaign. And then there's an entire game the size of a regular game after you do all of that. To say you're going to get your money's worth would be an understatement. But another important talking point is, the launch. I know we kind of touched on it just a second ago, but that's the one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about. This generation, and it's no offense to the young or to the old, we are a complaining generation, right? The minute something doesn't work, right, we're like, my God, get the torches and the pitchforks, people. It's time to take them down. And the launch on Monday night into Tuesday, I mean, I played for till about 2 o'clock in the morning, right from launch, no problems, but I am gonna say this: if you've been playing since yesterday, they did a maintenance patch at about 5:30 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. I believe the servers were down for maybe about an hour or so. There are some issues with the game since that particular maintenance fix, or maintenance broken, if whatever you want to call it. Last night I played with my brother Neo Mental and a few of my friends, and we got kicked out almost on a regular basis. And it was very, very frustrating. I was playing this morning. Actually, it's funny. I know I have the show. I set everything up in advance. I have my water. I have my teleprompter. I have my phone to talk to the chat. Everything's ready to go. And I'm finishing a mission, and I look at the clock, and it's 9:51. I'm like, holy shit, I got the show. So that's how good this game is. As much as I love Breakfast with Boom, I almost missed my own show, which is ridiculous. But I want to get into what the panels, what they think about it. And I want to start with the lovely Primal Eve. I know you said you've been playing. What has been your experience with the Division 2? And it's funny, you said something to us, privately, before the thing went live about, oh, it's just the Division, but you can't seem to stop playing it. How are you enjoying the game?
Well, as some of you may have heard me on previous podcasts or even maybe on Twitter, when I played the demo beta, I can't even tell the difference between a demo and a beta anymore. Previously I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is just like the first one. I'm going to be doing the same exact stuff as I did before. But I found myself, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 hours later into the Division 2, and I can't put it down. There's always something to do. There's constant action. I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing the same exact thing over and over again. Yes, it tells you to go here and do this, but when you go there and you do that, it's not the same thing that you did before. All of the enemies are pretty much completely different. They keep you on your toes. The gunplay, yes, is similar, and yes, please take cover. Don't be me running to a crowd of people thinking like, I got this. I just got this new submachine gun. I can do some close quarter combat now. No, stay behind cover at all times, and it's just fun. And I love to loot. So it's great to see those colors pop in, and then you can talk crap to your partner and be like, ooh, I got this blue and stuff. So I don't know. I'm really enjoying the game. Like I said, I think I put in 7, 8 hours in one day. I can't even remember when this game came out because it's all I've been doing. It's a lot of fun. I've only played with one other person, so it would be really great to get a whole crew together and roam the streets of Washington.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one thing that this game strives to push in your face is it gives you a very fun experience if you're just running around the streets and doing like side missions and helping, stopping public executions or saving hostages. But when you team up with your buddies, with your friends, and you just go and you're doing these missions, you go down, hey, you're calling for help, your buddy runs over, he revives you, and then you just go back into the fight. There's something so exhilarating about trying to maintain the squad, everyone's health by throwing out the gadgets. I mean, like, when we were playing last night, my brother, we were playing against. I mean, we were fighting against like a boss, and it was like, I think 2 of them, yellow bars, armored all over the place. I go down. He throws the turret to distract them. They go for the turret. He comes to revive me. We go back. It's just so many stories already in a game that's not even a week old. I think they're going to have I think, to be honest, I think this is going to be a big win for Ubisoft, and it's just going to continue the trend, Primal, of how good their games have been.
No, they're definitely getting on a roll, and it gets me excited to see a developer do something that everybody can enjoy. And like you said, even when this was released, besides the hiccups that are having that have been going on recently, if you go on Twitter or any type of social media, I haven't seen one negative comment.
Yeah.
This game isn't being torn apart or anything like that, like you said, because the whole picking out whatever's wrong in every game has been the trend for a very long time now, and it's very frustrating. But so far, the Division has been very, very good to us. So I'm excited to play more after the show.
Yeah, this is I think everyone's gonna be literally, when the minute 12 o'clock hits, and like, boom, bye, I'm out, and everyone's gonna be running for the controller. So Shady, I want to get your opinion on this. I know you said that you haven't played as much as us, but you still put some time into get your feels with the game. What has been your experience so far with the Division 2?
So far, I am loving it. Like you said, I didn't put in too much, maybe about an hour or so. I got past the single player part, and then I went out into the city and I pushed the graphics engine. I'm shooting puddles. I'm looking for glass to break, signs to break, looking for reflections, that type of deal. I tend to do that with most of the games when I first turn them on, is I just see what it has to offer visually, what I can do in the engine with the physics. Can I shoot these paint cans? Does paint spill out? Like, I love that stuff, man. I've been all over that type of thing since like GoldenEye. So that's what I did a lot of. I kind of cleaned up the streets, came across a couple of moments where they were, dragging some dudes out, going to execute them. I saved those guys. I liked how there was, like you said, a lot to do in the world. The environment is really fun to just explore. When I play games like this, I tend to lightly role play, if you will. It's not just me playing. I'm kind of playing as the guy. I'm out here doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I am an agent, right, of the Division. So I get into it. Like, I slow walk everywhere. Not everywhere is an exaggeration, but like, when I play my games, I'm not running full tilt right to the checkpoint at all times. That's not how I play. I like to get immersed in a way that I feel it would look if it was like a movie or something like that. So I think it offers all that in spades. My God, it is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. There's like particles flying everywhere. Smoke looks great. The lights look great. The day and night cycle looked really good. I did see that in the time play that I had. I'm looking forward to getting back into it with my brother after the show. He couldn't play last night because he was just working way, way, way too late. So it was just me. But I love it. I was big on the Division 1 as well, so I wasn't surprised that I was going to enjoy this game. What I am surprised at, actually, is that it did launch without a hitch. Like Primal said, social media is whisper quiet. All you hear is positive. Whereas with Anthem, it was anything but. I don't think Anthem is broken at all. I really, really, really enjoy the game. I put a lot of time into it, even still. But it's content light. Like, it really is. If you land and walk around the world, it's gorgeous and huge, but there isn't very much to do in it. There's some animals to shoot, not enough. Whereas the Division just seems very content heavy. I almost feel overwhelmed coming from Anthem into the Division. As soon as you open up the skill trees, I'm like, oh my God, skill trees? What are those? Because Anthem, it doesn't do that. It's an RPG light. Like, it's almost right at this moment, it's a looter light.
It's very simple. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I love the game. I do. But Division, man, it is way, way, way deeper and just seems to hit the ground running like just full tilt, where Anthem is stumbling right now. And I like that. I do like that. That was almost my favorite part about the fact that the game has been out for 3 days already, or 4 days already, since Monday night, midnight. That's enough time for the die-hard crazies, or the guys that just stream for a living, let's say, to beat the game and have that extra faction come in and then beat it again. Like, they have had enough time to basically do that. And I'm still not hearing any craziness about endgame content or the dark zone being broke to shit. Nothing. And that is fantastic. That, to me, was an instant buy. Because of that, I was interested. I thought Anthem was going to keep my interest a lot longer than it was, and I was going to wait for a sale. But Anthem is content light, like I said. So I was looking at the Division. social media was whisper quiet, sold, baby. And the little bit I put in, I love it. I love it. So I can't wait to get back in. The guns feel good. The rag dolls are fantastic. I love shooting those jackal bastards in the street. Like I do. It really it fires on all cylinders for me, man. So I'm gonna be putting a lot of time into this game. I'm looking forward to it. I hope they have some fancy loot. I don't want to be walking around with like a puffy purple jacket and a toque with a pom-pom on it, thinking that I'm looking like a badass. I thought that was the problem with the first one, was the loot.
Yeah, that's right. They might have been a little overly trendy in the last one with the
a little bit of that,
and
but
scarves.
I think it's sort of a problem with Division just being a game based in realism. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to see pink machine guns and, you know, pot leaf styled skins on your shotgun. Nothing. Like I don't want it to become Call of Duty or something like that. Like I would like it to stay grounded, but because it's grounded, it loses some of that spectacle. Whereas Anthem or Division or Warframe, as quick examples, or anything fantasy for that matter, when you go and get like those epic armor and your shoulder pieces are like 3 feet sticking off your arms and you're just huge, or you're glowing, or it's always fantastic. And I love these games specifically for the peacock game, if you will. I like to get the loot and walk around the public spaces and walk around with my buddies. Like the group of friends that I play with, they're very similar. So when we change outfits and walk around, we all notice and comment on it, which makes us feel good. Like, hey, nice new pants. Or we make fun of it, one or the other, but we comment on it. It doesn't just blow by us. So I really hope that the cosmetic game this time is a little bit more peacocky, but nothing crazy. Like I said, I don't want this to break my immersion to the point where I don't even think it's realistic anymore. If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's funny because I want to touch on 2 points. I was doing a mission last night in wasn't a bunker. It was like a storage place, and no one has been in it for a while. They couldn't get into it, right? So I go in with an NPC, and you immediately notice that it's dusty. And what I couldn't believe, it blew me away. Like I actually took a picture and posted it on Twitter. As the guy is walking through the dust, he's leaving footprints.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, it was crazy.
Fantastic.
So I watch him walk, and I'm like, okay, he's leaving footprints. I walk, and the 2 sets of footprints are over each other. I was like, this is ridiculous detail. And
it is.
And speaking of items to find, I know Primal said she hasn't found any, cool things to dress up her character. I was fortunate enough, believe it or not, to find not only FBI glasses, like the shades.
You just went mute.
Yeah, I am so sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I was on.
There we go.
I was on mute. Yeah, sorry about that. I was on mute because my phone was ringing. I apologize. Where did I leave off?
The detail with the footprints and whatnot.
Yeah. What ended up happening was he walked. I watched him. I walked over his footprints, and both footprints covered each other, which was crazy. Like the amount of detail, like. In a game that's based on shooting and just running and gunning and looting, it really goes to show you how much these developers care about the game that they're making. That's why Anthem had a lot of problems, but you didn't see me shitting on the game, because there were a lot of folks that were having so much fun with it. And you know what? These developers, they work in 18-hour days. They work hard. No one goes to work in this industry to put out a crap project, or something for the fans. They don't do that, because at the end of the day, yes, they're developers, but they're still gamers too, and they want their stuff to be played and enjoyed, and it's a sense of pride. So, the one thing I will say is, if your favorite game, and this is a little off subject, but if your favorite game comes out and it needs a patch, or it's not fixed right away, don't immediately give up on it, and don't immediately, please, whatever you do, don't attack the developers with all caps and curses, because no one's going to pay any attention. That's the one thing. Social media could be great, but at the same time, it could also be terrifying Getting back to like what Primal was saying about dressing up. This is, and I know, again, I don't want a pom-pom hat. I really don't. I don't want, I don't want a scarf with, with little reindeers on it. I just would not feel correct going around shooting bad guys if I was wearing this. But I did happen to find something yesterday that was awesome. Right before I closed out last night, I think it was almost like 1:30 in the morning. It was ridiculous. I found Secret Service glasses, so I put those on. I'm like, okay. And then I look and I see, holy cow, I found a police officer's hat. So officer friendly, of course, had to put this on.
No.
Yes, and I took pictures on Twitter. And I am going to say this. If you're going to do screenshots from this game, do not use photo mode. When they did this update, they broke it because all the pictures are coming out dark. So I didn't even realize that when I posted it this morning in front of a police car. It was a great shot. It was during the day. I look on Twitter and I got a few likes on it. I'm like, that picture's terrible. Do the regular screenshot by just hitting the guide and hitting Y. Don't use their photo mode. But you know what? Gaming Forte, I know that when we were on BRAP, you were really walking the fine line. Do I buy the big edition? Do I not? And you jumped in and you haven't stopped playing. What has been your experience with Division 2 so far?
Oh man, so this type of game is better with friends always. I jumped in with slow mo. We played for about 4 hours that night. I put an additional 2 or 3 hours in since then, and it's been very enjoyable. The one thing I love about the game is the attention to detail. I talked about it on BRAP. Like if you're going against certain enemies, you can actually see the armor break. You can actually see when you're shooting somebody. Like say if you're shooting somebody with a heavy turret, you can shoot their ammo belt off of them, and they'll literally have to reattach their ammo belt. And you can actually do damage to them, and you can continually keep doing that until you actually beat the enemies. Little Easter nuggets like that make games like this very much a joy to play. I also like if you see a grenade hanging out the back of them, you can shoot that grenade, and it will actually explode their armor and do AOE damage to them too. So they've taken a lot of cues, a lot of things that people loved about the original Division and actually just amped it up to the 9th degree. Another thing I really enjoy, the side missions in this game. Lord, I felt like I was like, most of us all played The Witcher, and The Witcher, we will all say, had some of the best side missions you can ever see in the game.
Yes.
Like they were probably as big as some of the main missions.
And probably better than some of the main missions. Me and Slow-Mo did, because we wanted to unlock the clans, and you have to do 3 side missions before you can actually join clans and unlock them. So we did 3 side missions, and I swear I did 1 story mission, and 3 side missions were longer than the 1 story mission I did. Like each side mission, it was like we're just sitting in there doing these side missions. Like, dude, these are like story missions. It's like it's like ridiculous. And then there's hundreds of these things around the game, and then just how the game just populates points of interest around you as you're playing through it. The thing I really enjoy the fact that Massive took their time with this. They didn't just sit back on their morals. They did go back and they redid and fixed a lot of the stuff that when Division 1 out, they gave us a better game. They took what they had and said, we're going to make this better for you. And a lot of people appreciated that. And then they turn around and give us a game like this where I love looter shooters. I am a huge Destiny. I love Anthem. Anthem's just in the bushes right now because the game just isn't rewarding enough. Yeah. And I have over 65 hours in that game. And it's just, when this game launched, I was like, okay, what issues is it going to have? And the fact that this game is a week out and we had early access for Ultimate and Gold editions, and the regular edition launches today. And up until today, like you said, they just put out a patch that basically broke a couple of things. I don't have any doubt in my mind that will be fixed by later today.
I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the show, to be honest.
If it's not already fixed. Because this game has got a lot of goodwill. I expect the reviews for this game to be through the roof because everybody's enjoying it. And it really touches on what people want the most. An experience that you can experience with your friends, and the loot is amazing. And that is what I am enjoying about this game the most.
I gotta say, I put probably about maybe 15 hours in so far. My biggest problem is that there is so much to do. I find myself, like you were saying, I'm not doing the main missions. Like I'm finding strongholds. I'm finding public executions, hostages, the cargo drops. And then on top of all of that, the points where they're being controlled, you take them over. I am going to say the one thing. Now we talked about this. I think we might have talked about this on Brap about how the JTF in the first one was basically as useless as two tits on a bull, right? So this time around, the crew that's walking around, like they see you getting into a shootout, they come running over and they go right in front of you, and they help you out in a big way. Has anybody on the panel experienced that?
Yes, definitely. There was one time though when it was at a control point and we had to call in for help. And they took their sweet ass time.
Yes, they do.
And
they did take their time.
Over, there was one enemy left, and they got it. And I was like, okay, thanks, guys. But other than that, no. As they always, it's weird. They're paying attention to their surroundings, as creepy as that is. But yeah, no, they will come and they will help you at any point as long as they're within their view area. I think it's awesome. The NPCs are better than NPCs, I guess you could say, but it was a really huge improvement from the first one, definitely.
Yeah, real quick before I get everyone else's opinion on the NPCs, the only one left with the outstanding $2 super chat. Thank you so much. He's asking, would it draw in someone who's never played looter shooters? And I'm going to tell you, dude, yes. There's a rich story here. There's content for days. Like this is a game that if you go out and you buy the $60 edition, right, you're going to come away and after you're done playing, because the one thing that's amazing is the single player campaign is, I think they said it's 30 plus hours in length just for the single player if you do just the story. And if you tack on all of the side missions and all those, the different things you can do with your friends, this is a game that you're going to put 60, 70, maybe 100 hours into, and you're going to walk away extremely satisfied. It's never too late to jump in, because even though it's the Division 2, you can still just jump in on that and play the way that they intended the first one to be, because this one is every complaint I think that was made with the original has been addressed tenfold. Shady, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And you certainly do not need to have played the first game or even be a fan of looters. Like you said, the campaign in this game is huge. I actually heard that it was 30 to 40 hours for the first playthrough. And then at the end, when that faction jumps in, it's another almost 30 to 40 hours type of deal to get through it all again. I could have been mistaken. That might be all together. But I mean, 30 to 40 hours just for the single player stuff, without all the side stuff, without building everything up, without going for endgame loot, doing the 8-person raid. Like that is huge. And then to boot, they've also said that all the content for the next year is free. And they've also detailed what that content is.
Yes.
So it's not as if we're just all like, okay, what are we going to get? Maybe a skin here, a skin there, and you might expand the map a little bit. No, they kind of gone into some pretty decent details, and it's coming pretty quick. I think it's that first, that new faction that invades at the end. They've got some kind of like shipyards under control, I guess. You got to go there. There's also new skins coming, of course, expansions to the map in general. And they said there's an entirely new narrative arc coming as well over the next year for free. So as far as content goes, this game has it in spades. And I think that the detail in it is huge, that the gameplay is fantastic. Like I said, everyone said it just landed really, really good. The community seems to be embracing it.
Yes.
There's no crazy critiques. The game doesn't deserve it at all. So kudos to them for releasing basically a finished game of this caliber. They put their heart and soul into it. It's obvious, and I hope it does really well. I know the first one sold crazy numbers for Ubisoft. I'd like to see this one do as good or better. So if you haven't played the first one, don't let it stop you, man. Check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, it's worth your time. Real quick before I get to Nauticals, concerning the I guess Endgame that we keep talking about. Agent Rayhan, a friend of mine who we grew up together, we were playing last night. He drops in an outstanding $10 super chat. Thanks so much, dude. He says this is compensation for Neo Mental's mean remarks to me last night. My younger brother, he always has something funny to say, and we laugh. But thank you very much, dude. It's greatly appreciated. Listen, Gaming Forte, the one thing that was at the forefront of every conversation with every developer that got in front of a microphone, that was interviewed, that was talking about this game, Endgame. What are your opinions coming from a Destiny background? 8-man raids, dude. What are your expectations for this?
Oh man, so I'm super excited because the biggest thing that I love about Destiny is the raids. The raids are something that only a handful of people even complete. Yes. I think a lot of people try it, but a lot of people don't complete it just because it takes a lot of coordination, takes a lot of communication, a lot of teamwork, and just being able to get in Destiny is 6 people, just getting 6 people together is hard as heck. So Division doing 8-man raids, and I think it's going to be a little bit more, it's going to lend itself a little bit more easier than it is in Destiny, just because I'm just wondering what type of mechanics they can actually use in the game that's going to stub players from the very beginning. With this game being grounded more in reality, I think it's a little bit more easier for them to, or for players to actually wrap their mind around things that they can actually do in these raids.
Yes.
But because they're not really, you're not thinking like, oh, I give this player a buff just because it's a sci-fi game and they do that. So it's not going to be like, take this ore and take it over to here and dump it in this little thing. And it's just so much grounded in reality. I think that's just going to make it less complicated for people to play it. So I expect the raids on Division to be a little bit more approachable than they are in Destiny. But I am very much looking forward to what they can pull up when they can actually do with this. We did get a couple of tastes of what they've tried to do with little mechanics in Division 1 when it came to like the different instances and stuff. And I think they gave us a glimpse of some mechanics that they could do, but I think they probably went all out because they did say they built this game around the end game. They didn't build it from beginning. They didn't build it with the single player. They built it from, hey, what is the long tail growth of this game going to be? And I really appreciate it as a person because of the one thing about looter shooters is the game doesn't start till you hit level 30.
Yes, that's correct.
The experience of getting to level 30 is very enjoyable. That was the one thing people loved about Division 1. Level 1 through 30 was really good, but then the game just kind of fell apart and fell on its backside when it came to everything after that.
Yes.
With this game so far, I'm level 9, and I am enjoying the game just as much as I did in Division 1, but knowing that this game was built from the back end to the front gives me even more hope on what I feel like we can do. And I think people that jump in this game now, you're going to be in for a treat. And I wouldn't wait for a sale for this game. Personally, a lot of this stuff is here. You need to play the game now because I don't want to hear people in podcasts later on talking like, well, I can't get into Division because all my friends are like level 30 and they got all this gear. Right. So this is your opportunity to get in on ground floor. We're telling you that this game is amazing. There's no bugs. There's no glitches. The story is phenomenal so far. And we know the end game is going to be there because the roadmap shows it.
Yeah.
So jump in now and don't get caught, trying to peek in later.
Don't get left behind, basically.
With that end game, with an 8-person raid, like what kind of AI are they going to have to put up against you?
Oh my God.
How many, I guess, to have a cooperative group of 8 going up against and not just steamroll it? They're either going to have like dozens and dozens on the screen all the time to fight, or there's going to be a couple of really, really, really tanky dudes. And I hope it's not the latter. I would rather the screen was filled with enemies that I can put down in half a clip which feels real. I mean, the guy's wearing like a vest or a wife beater. That's a bad name. He's wearing an undershirt, and you spray him up with a machine gun. I kind of want him to go down, not take 3-4 clips. So when it comes to an 8-man raid, I hope it's not all of a sudden the same amount of enemies we're accustomed to. They just all take 50 clips to take down because there's 8 of us. I hope it doesn't go that route.
Talking about the 8-man raids, what comes to mind, and I'm wondering if this is going to be true. Again, I have no inside information, but if Ubisoft is looking to hire, I need a job, so I will be your community manager, no problem. I'm wondering at some point during this massive undertaking, the two teams don't split 4 and 4. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and how amazing would that be if you play this raid and you experience only one half and you say, I got to go back in because I want to go to the right this time. You know what I'm saying? So there's possibilities here. Real quick, I have to say a big thank you for the outstanding $2 super chat from Thurnos in the chat. Thank you. He's always here. And just drop by Dream Eater with the outstanding $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says good morning. Good morning to Scrub Nurse. Coming up in the rear, thank you so much for the unbelievable $5 super chat. The generosity from the community has been nothing short of amazing. They say Division 2 is definitely worth a buy. Very exciting for what this game has to offer. Great show, gang. Thumbs up in the chat. Yes, thank you so much for that. If you are enjoying it, please do me a favor and just hit the thumbs up button. It does greatly help the channel. And again, if you're not enjoying it, I highly encourage you hit the thumbs down. I'm not going to tell you to like something you don't like, but this has been a topic that we're 35 minutes into, and I knew it was going to be long. And it's worth talking about because the Division 2 is the biggest game out now. It's out for everyone today. I'm gonna say this. I'm not doing an unboxing or anything, but if I were doing an official review, it would get a high 9 out of 10 from me. And I'm putting 15 plus hours into it. I highly recommend this title, even if you're not a looter shooter kind of a gamer. It's still a really, really strong story and awesome mechanics, great graphics. Yeah, there's some hiccups now with the patch, but they can fix that and they're going to do it. But I want to talk about something that's coming out next week that I have pre-ordered. Not a surprise. And I have the collector's edition because it comes with a statue. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now, look, here's the thing. I am not a Souls person. I have purchased every one of them, and I am absolutely horrendous at that game. But there is a game that came out that was a PlayStation exclusive that I put over 90 hours into, got almost to level 93, I think, and that was Neo. And Neo, I played more like Onimusha than I did a Souls game. And yes, it was punishing, and there were bosses in there that make me want to just break the controller in two. But I got all the way to the end, and the last boss, I couldn't do it. It just was ridiculous. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go play something else before I break my only PS4 controller. But Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is looking to be something really special. And, reading a story that I pulled from GameSpot.com, this game was almost part of the Tenchu universe, and it really did. When I first saw the reveal at E3, I'm like, oh my god, it's a new Tenchu, let's go. And look, all I can say is this: the character, the shinobi who's known as the Wolf, the protagonist, and if you're not familiar, From Software is doing this game. This is going to be a punishing game. There's no doubt about it. My question to the panel is, okay, it's from the makers of the Souls games, right? We know it's going to be punishing, but there's a trick to you dying and bringing yourself back, and you can only do that so many times. That's something you couldn't do in any of the Souls games. I'm curious to find out, Primal, is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice a game that you're interested in?
It's I'm on the fence on this one because I am not a Souls person. Bloodborne, anything, even Ashen really pissed me off. I'm the kind of person where if I die, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can go and grind for a while. With these games, it's not the same way. But I am extremely into Japanese lore, and that's what's getting me into it. When I first saw the trailer for this, before I even knew anything about it, I'm like, ooh, I thought of Animusha at first, and I was like, oh, wait a second,
yes,
what is this? And then it wasn't it, and then I got disappointed. But still, it's very attractive to me in that way. But it's not going to be a day one buy for me. I'm not so sure. Maybe I could win it. Maybe it'll just show up on my install list. I don't know, but I think it is something to be interested in. It is different. It's a different take on those kinds of games. So I'm just gonna wait on it and kind of get some feedback and maybe wait for a sale.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way the gaming world is now, 4 weeks after a game comes out, they're dropping the price. So if it's not something that's immediately in your wheelhouse, like a Division 2, it might be worth the wait. The one thing about the story that I pulled from GameSpot, I want to just read an excerpt from it because it's very interesting. It says here the difference with Sekiro, the way they handle death differently from the other software games, i.e., of course, the Souls games, is that they use death as a tool in your arsenal while also making it more punishing, which I can't believe it could be any more punishing in those games. What's most striking was how the omnipresence of death colors the experience in a new way compared to the Souls games, and death isn't just the end. See, I find that to be very interesting. I'm going to say this, that he has a grappling hook mechanic where you're flying to the top of rooftops. Now, I don't know if the enemies can follow you or if you can pick them up with that arm. All I can tell you is that I'm all in now, and I said this publicly on Twitter. If it plays like Neo, it's a game that's may end up in my top 10 of 2019. It's a game I'm going to look to beat, even though I'm shitty at the Souls games, but I'm really hyped to play it. So Shady, is this a game for you that might be in your wheelhouse, or is this something like, well, Prime, you'll wait for a sale?
This is the first game from Software. That sounds weird to say. That has got me interested, to be honest. I'm not a Dark Souls guy. I'm not a Bloodborne guy. I'm not into that art style. I found it very drab. I found the combat to be stiff. I know that it gets better, of course, for the people that learn it and master it. It ends up being, from what I've been told, the best. People swear by it, and that's fine. I got a roommate that plays the hell out of those games. He loves them. I watch every now and then. And there's some cool stuff. I can appreciate a lot of the hands-off, the non-hand holding that game does. It does nothing for you. Like, no direction, you just go. And I like that. I find video games today are very hand-holdy, and that's a product, I think, of the industry, just the hobby exploding. There's a lot of casuals that are getting into the hobby, and just looking at the controller scares a lot of people away, let alone trying to tell them as soon as they pick it up, right bumper does this, left bumper does that, the triggers, and then you want to hit this and then the stick. Like, they're instantly lost and they just get frustrated and put it down. I'm all for games being as accessible to as many human beings that breathe air on this planet as possible. Really, truly am. Games should have almost a God mode for people. Like, who cares? It doesn't affect me. Not on multiplayer, obviously, but let people play in a way.
You're talking about,
with single player. Like, I know that Star Fox did it on Nintendo recently, and they got blasted for it by a lot of hardcore people. That was just, wow, God mode. And it's like, hey, look, man, not everyone's been playing games for 30 plus years.
Yes,
there's a lot of people that are just picking it up today. Games are way more advanced and in-depth than they ever were back when you and I and everyone else on the panel here got into the hobby. Like, we had 2 buttons on our controller. It wasn't hard to figure it out. They can only do so much with it. So I think it's a good thing that games guide you a bit more, but at the same time, it kind of sucks because I have been playing a long time and I do enjoy the challenge of figuring shit out myself. But this game, I think it looks good because it's not Dark Souls and it does have this very serious, like, samurai flavor going on. We haven't had one of those games in a long time, which makes me interested. There was a little while where we had a lot and I kind of got burned out. It was like, all right, like, can we get out of Japan maybe and fight somewhere else? And I don't know, but it's been a while. So I like the motif. I like the violence in the trailers and footage that I've seen. There's a lot of blood, gushing everywhere, spurting out of necks and stuff. I like that. I do like that a lot. The monster designs look really cool. I expect a challenge with this game. the way it's described makes me think of almost like a roguelike. If you've only got so many of these lives, maybe when you die, you come back and you keep so many of your powers that you manage to, collect in that run, but you lose something as well that you have to go out and get again. And you kind of play it through that way. And maybe after 5 or 6 or 7, whatever their number is, then it's just a game over and it deletes your save. I don't know how it works, but it just feels more approachable and less bang your head against the wall. Not that that's always
I
agree.
I see the route you're going, and it makes sense. Neo was like that, where it was punishing, yes, and if you made a mistake, you paid for it. But there was still an Onimusha feel to that game, and I think that if any game has an Onimusha feel, it's an automatic win for me personally. That's one of my favorite. I know you like that franchise as well.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Again, I know it's a little off subject. You want to play Onimusha now? Spend $20 and go get the HD version. I bought it. It came out in January. It's absolutely fantastic. Graphics are a little, they fixed the graphics. They touched it up, but it's still the fixed camera, i.e. Resident Evil thing. I think it's a test for Capcom to see if people want another Onimusha. So if you want another Onimusha, go out and buy that game. And if you buy it on sale, go buy that game. Tell them that you want Onimusha reboot or whatever they're going to do.
I was just saying, your original question was, am I going to buy it day one? My game share partner and I are discussing it, but this game kind of has the unfortunate, if you will, of kind of launching at the tail end of our second holiday window, if you will. We just had a serious glut of games. I'm still playing a lot of Anthem. Division just launched, and that is going to take a good chunk of my soul. I know it. And I still haven't beat Resident Evil 2. I want to get into Metro. I still want to get into Far Cry. Like, there's just so many games still. I just picked up Devil May Cry last week. I haven't even loaded it yet. So to dive into another brand new game already next week sounds just ridiculous. It's gluttonous, if you will. But I have what the World Health Organization classifies as an addiction. I can't help myself. So it'll likely end up in the collection. Maybe not on launch day, but I don't see it lasting much more than a week or two before we have to, because I need to get my slice and dice on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's one of those games, excuse me, that will be on sale in a month, 5 weeks. Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this. You just splurged on the big edition of the Division. You're a looter guy, so I know that when you go in, it's balls to the wall with you. It's looter shooter all the way, nonstop. Do you have time? More importantly, do the people actually have the money to keep up with the Joneses? Because my God, there's been so many games coming out. Is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice something in your wheelhouse?
So this would be my first Souls game. The reason that being, and I love the type of game that this is. The one thing that's going to draw me to this more than any other game is just the era that is in. I'm not saying that the Victoria era, like games like Bloodborne and stuff, isn't appealing to me, but it's just something about the aesthetic of that type of game that I'm like, I can wait on it. And then by the time you wait on it, it's like a year later, and then you kind of say, well, there's too many other games to go back and play it. I don't want to make that mistake with this game. I'm a huge fan of samurai era stuff, and the fact that this game was rumored to be in the Tenchi universe is something that I'm super interested in.
Yes,
and the way that it's actually perceived in the game. The Ashton Luca is always getting on me, say, hey, when you going to play Bloodborne? When you going to play Dark Souls? I said, guess what? My first one is going to be this. And you are right. I love looter shooters, but the thing that stopped me from playing these games in the past is because I was so engrossed in Division 1, into Destiny, into Warframe, and it's finally gotten to a point where it's slowed down a lot for me. The Destiny will always still be home, and the Division is that type of game that it's not something that I feel like I have to just like always be caught up on for every little thing that's going on. I can actually take 20 to 30 hours of however long it takes to be Sekiro to actually get into that game and see exactly what it's like. Because I think the biggest thing that people don't understand about these games is there's a lot of them coming out, but you don't have to burn through a game. You know, it took me roughly about, for God of War when it came out, it took about 3 weeks for me to beat it, 3 to 4 weeks. And I did that over like 55 hours of doing everything in the game. And I did it at my own slow pace.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Recently, I just did that with Crackdown 3. And we all know Crackdown 3 is not a long game, but with me playing Division, not playing Division, but playing the Division beta, playing Anthem, still playing Destiny, I still found time to actually get through that single player and enjoy that game that I felt like was one of the most underrated games.
Absolutely.
Because it's a game that I didn't expect what everybody else expected out of it. So I feel like with this game, I feel like this is going to be the next game, and it's going to be the first time I dump into that that ecosystem. And I really just enjoy punishment. And that's what this game seems like it's gonna bring to you, is punishment. No farming. That's like completely new for a Souls game. Normally you farm till you fall off and you just overpower everything in the game and learn the mechanics. In this, they said there's no difficulty, there's no farming. So if you lose to bosses in this game, it's because you aren't good enough.
You're doing something wrong. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's probably the most appealing thing to me, because now it's not about, oh, you just put way more time into the game to actually get, you know, all the materials you needed to farm up to beat these bosses. Now, if you beat a boss, it's like, hey, what strategy did you use? How did you evolve in your gameplay to make yourself better at these encounters? And that's what I'm really looking forward to see how this game goes forward.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. A lot of the times you're right. You have to find all these different things to beat a boss, where this is just going to be, if you beat a boss, it's because you had the skill. You took the time, you used tactics, you used your brain instead of running in there like a barbarian and just hacking and slashing, which usually never works in these games. But I got to say a big thank you to Sin Vendetta in the chat with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, Sekiro is my most anticipated game of 2019, and Mooch, Luca, and Scythe and myself will be losing ourselves in this game next week. Cannot wait. Yeah, it's you and a whole mess of people from Software has put themselves as one of those developers that when they talk, people listen, and when a game launches, people buy it, and they've earned that. They've earned that with what they've done with the Soul series and, of course, Bloodborne. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic, and this one is going to have a lot of intrigue. I think everybody on the panel is going to be very excited for this. PAX East is happening this weekend, and I'm going to say this. Excuse me. If you've never been to a PAX East, you owe it to yourself as a gamer. I've been to 3 of them. PAX East happens once a year in Boston, Massachusetts. Boston's a gorgeous town, man. I mean, it's you know, I'm from New York, and everyone's like, oh my God, how do you talk about Boston that way? You're not a New Yorker. Listen, okay, I don't get in the middle of this nonsense. It's just like I don't get into console war shit. I don't get into whose city has more poop on the sidewalk than the other. I could care less. But PAX East is special in a way that that E3 is just overwhelmingly. It's too much. It's overwhelmingly big. PAX East is a fan fest. It's for the gamers. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there. It's not just video games. You know, you have your sections off for all the card-based games. You have your cosplay, which is awesome over there. But there are a lot of companies go there, and every now and again, they announce big things. Now, apparently, okay, and I sent the pictures to you guys in the DM. Borderlands 3 is rumored, and I say at this point I think it's just basically confirmed, but I can't confirm it because I didn't give Randy Pitchford a call this morning to confirm it because I don't know him like that. But I did meet him at the last PAX East, and he is a gentleman, that guy. But you know, they tweeted out, and this is, I mean, it's cheeky, it's cool, it's really, because everyone that's anyone has been begging and asking for the original OG looter shooter, and that, of course, is Borderlands 3. This is something they've been, from what we understand, has been in development for at least 4 long years. And, you know, I have a feeling that the reason why they pulled it back is because the demographics of gaming have changed in the last, 4 to 5 years, where, looter shooters, when they first came out, they were like the thing, right? Everybody loot, grind, and where we fight another boss. And then, obviously, the battle royale craze became in, and that took over. And I think they had to adjust with the times, and maybe that's why they delayed it. But they tweeted out a picture in the cartoon graphics, or the cell shaded graphics of the Borderlands series, that says Exit 3, March 28th, Boston, MA, written in blood. And I mean, look, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it because I'm a big fan. I mean, look, here's the thing. The last time we got a Borderlands was the end of 2012. Now we've had some remasters, we've had a few things, but we haven't had a Borderlands 3. I'm interested to find out what you guys think, and I want to go to Primal first. Are you excited for Borderlands 3? And based on the picture I showed you, I mean, it's cheeky, but do you think they're just saying, "Yeah, come to Boston, we're going to show the game"?
Boom. I am so excited. I had my entire body was probably covered in goosebumps and sweat and possibly other fluids, because I am so excited for this game. I absolutely love Borderlands. I remember falling in love with it because I needed a break from Gears. I needed something different. And Borderlands came into my life, and that was it. It's a fantastic game. You can always play it by yourself. You can play it with friends, and the loot and the gazillion guns that you could have, and it got me. And I absolutely love that art style as well. And I have a major crush on Mad Moxie. So having this, to me, it's confirmed. Borderlands 3. I've been waiting for this. I don't really consider that last Borderlands that came out. I constantly can't remember the name of it. If it was a sequel, prequel.
Yeah, it was called the pre-sequel. That actually came out. They came out in 2014.
Wow, and even then, I don't even think I beat it because I lost interest.
It just wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same. So having them have all this time, they can come out with something that is right on track with the other with the other Borderlands. That might, I don't know. I need to see something, even if it's just like a claptrap saying hi or falling apart or exploding. I need to see something, and I really hope that it's nothing that too far. I want them to stick with the same formula but keep it more polished. It drives me nuts when games make sequels and it's completely off track and almost a completely different game. It defeats the purpose of it being a sequel. So I'm extremely excited. I'm actually considering if I'm able to get some vacation time early to go to PAX East, either this year or maybe even next year. Boston is really, really amazing. If you guys haven't been there, you got to go to the
great
Boston
town.
Square.
Really great town.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing because I too am in New York, but I'm also from Connecticut, so I don't get a lot of shit because I'm on both sides. So I'm sorry that if that happens to you, Boom, but it is true. It is true what you say. If you're in New York, that's it. But yeah, no, I'm so excited, Boom. I know it's just a damn sign, but it's a sign.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit more than that. Like I said, it was a really well drawn picture. It just screamed Borderlands the way it looked. Shady, based on media reviews and player feedback, I think it's safe to say, even though people are enjoying it, Anthem turned out to be a little bit underwhelming, right? And it was the Destiny killer, right? I even said that we're gonna kill Destiny, right? But it's funny. Timing in this business, like they say, is everything. And we don't know if this was going to be an announcement that they were holding back for E3. We don't know if they were going to do their own event. But PAX is a big event, and it's covered by everyone. Everybody that's a media related person is attending this. you know, the IGNs, the GameSpots, the Kotakus, all of them. They're all going to be there. So, you know, they drop a couple of hints. Gearbox, in my opinion, figures it's about time to show off the OG looter shooter, but at the stumbling of the big Anthem. Could this be the reason why we're getting all of these hints now?
Oh, that kind of makes sense, to be honest. There's a lot of looter shooter fans out there that have, well, let's be honest, have had their hearts broken, you know, their hopes and dreams. I'm not one of them. I still really, like I said, I really do enjoy Anthem. It has obvious flaws as well, like, you know, we address those, but it's not broken for me. I'm looking forward to see what BioWare can do with this game.
Trust me, the Division made a comeback. Destiny 1 and 2 made a comeback. Give them time; they will fix it.
Well, it is, and they were upfront. Like, this is a games as a service. All the content will be free, so I expect content, of course, and it will be coming sooner than later. I imagine there's already new cosmetics today, but I mean, we're not really talking about Anthem at the moment. It is Borderlands. This game, in my opinion, has almost been rumored to be revealed for as long as this gen has been going. I'm serious. Like, it's funny, but I think it's a real thing. Like, I think within the first year of the Xbox and the PlayStation launching this gen, people were almost expecting a new Borderlands, and not the pre-sequel, but like a full-on new one. And I have a theory, it could be completely wrong, but I think Borderlands was almost ready to go for a few times. And it always ends up being another game that comes out and kind of rewrites the rules. Destiny came out mid sort of gen-ish, a little bit early, and sort of redefined what a lot of people will call a looter shooter today.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. Yep.
And I think Borderlands saw that, and they kind of had to go back, not necessarily like straight up to the drawing board, but I think more than once they had to go back and readjust what they had and what they were working on, because as you also brought up, the industry has changed like really fast in the last 5 years. And I think it's going to start changing even faster in the next 5 to 10 years myself. But I think that they've had to rework a lot. I'm excited as hell to see what they can put out. I want to see what their graphic style will look like on modern consoles. When you look at Crackdown 3 and Terry Crews as an example, he doesn't look like the comic book type graphics that were in the first two Crackdowns. He looks like Terry Crews, like a cartoon version of the man, but he doesn't have like the dark black lines around his facial features or his nose and things like that. So I'm wondering if Borderlands is going to follow suit and go way more realistic, but it's still a cartoon, so it almost ends up looking almost like a Pixar type thing.
That's possible.
Or if they're going to really just double down on that comic book look still and just run with that. I'm not too sure. I'm excited for it. I want to see this game do well, and I want to see it come out and redefine what a looter shooter is again. Like, it had a bazillion, jillion, gajillion guns. I want armor in this game. I want armor pieces big time. Like I said, I love the peacocking, and a world like Borderlands is ripe for something like that. I enjoy the comedy in this game. For the people that don't enjoy the comedy, that's a bummer, man, because it is nonstop. Nonstop hitting you with what
it's right in your face, and it's slapstick comedy. It's funny.
That's right. Enjoy it. Like, if you enjoy it, it's fantastic. But if like that's not your bag, it can be hard to get past it because it is so front and center in the game at all times. Like the banter, the little one-liners, the dialogue with every NPC, everything has that Borderlands tone. So if you're into it, it's just amazing because it doesn't stop. But if you're not, man, it can be painful. I've got a few friends that aren't, and they have to leave the room when I play it, which I hate. That's a them problem. But I want like multiple planets to go to look for these vaults. I want way more loot.
Yeah,
like
that's
armor,
great
guns. I did like the part in the pre-sequel at the beginning where you didn't have air and you were on the moon, so the gravity was low, and you'd find like air pockets until you'd leveled up so you could get a little breathing apparatus. I thought that was kind of a neat mechanic actually for a while, that you could only jump out around for a little bit before you had to go kind of find a safe zone to get your breath back. I thought that was neat. So I'd like to see just more of everything, to be honest. I hope it's not as spongy as the last ones were. Borderlands to me was one of the spongiest enemy games ever, especially when you played on 4-player. Those enemies, like a regular skag, all of a sudden took your entire crew of coordinated effort to take it down. Or on single player, you'd walk up and punch it twice. So I thought that the scaling of the enemy's health was just too high for me, for my tastes. So I'd like at the least options. I'm not sure, but I hope it's coming. It's been rumored for a really long time. As you said, there's a lot of media eyes on this event. It'd be a great place to do it. It's also not an E3 where everyone is doing it,
exactly.
except Sony. But no, it's almost like they could be a big fish in a small pond. Not to make that the game needs that, but there'll be a lot more eyes on it if it were. I hope it is. It would make this weekend fantastic. So fingers crossed, toes crossed, unmentionables crossed. You know what I'm saying? I hope it goes down.
Yeah, that makes two of us. Forte, some people have been asking, how do we know this is the long-awaited Borderlands 3? We've been psyched before, right? Well, I mean, look, like I said, we talked about it in the beginning of the segment. The clues are obvious. If you're a fan, the clues are obvious, right? The art style is very Borderlands-esque, right? Immediately, that's what I thought when I saw it. But it has that comedy in without even saying anything, with just the stuff written in blood, right? Like Boston, Massachusetts, be there. I mean, so my question to you is, how, like Shady was just saying, big fish, small pond. All eyes are going to be on this game if it happens to be the game that they're talking about. I don't think that they would make this big of a deal to say, hey, because yesterday evening when I was looking through, there's talk about a Switch release, right?
Right.
About releasing the I think the all 3 games as a trilogy on the Switch, which would be great. I'm sure a lot of people would dig it. It's going to sell like hotcakes, no doubt about it. But when I sit back as a content creator and I'm like, if they just announce that this is coming to the Switch and they did all of this shenanigans, you're going to really put a damper on the fans. It would be like, like kicking you in the sack. You know what I'm saying? When you're waiting for a kiss and you get kicked in the sack. Not good. Two opposite, what you're expecting. I think that's what would happen with the fan base. And because Borderlands 2 came out in 2012, it would, again, I'm leading to believe that you're going to get a dual announcement. But here's my question. How important is it for the franchise that this, in fact, is the announcement for Borderlands 3? And secondly, how amazing would this be for the Switch fan base to get the original trilogy on that console?
Oh, man. So let me unpack what you just said. So I didn't know where you were gonna go when you kept saying about another announcement. I was hoping you would go.
No, wait, we're not done with this, brother. We got one more after this.
You were gonna say something like Battleborn 2. I was gonna cry. Don't ever do that to us again. Battleborn 2 was
you're gonna like the part 2 of this segment.
Jesus. So all right. So first with the Switch launch, I would think it would be a disservice to everyone that loves Borderlands if it was just about the Switch and there was no announcement for Borderlands 3.
Yes, I agree.
Because at this point right now, there has been a lot of time that's passed since Borderlands has been relevant, that a lot of little shooters have changed the way that people perceive how these games are. The further and further we get away from Borderlands, the more and more people believe Destiny is the ones that started this whole looter shooter grind, which isn't the case. Me personally, I think the Switch fan base would adore a game like this. I could just imagine a time where I could just be at work doing absolutely nothing, playing through the whole trilogy of all the Borderlands on the go, because quiet as kept, haven't told anybody, but I beat Borderlands. Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I beat with every character on Ultimate Vote Hunter mode.
Whoa.
Every character.
Holy cow.
I found the one thing I love about that game is the builds you can do, one-shotting bosses if you had the right combination of weapons and stuff. It was something about that game that just transformed the way that I like to play games. Before Borderlands, I was a huge sports fan. After Borderlands, I became a looter shooter fan, and I pretty much stopped buying which is probably for the best because they never changed. I stopped buying Madden, I stopped buying NBA, all those games because I realized that games like this is what engage me, and it's really about, it really brings to the core about what your friends mean to you when you play these type of games. Because I would literally run other people through content just because I wanted to enjoy the game that they put in front of me. And the biggest problem that I have is what's taking so long. And when they put that when they put up that picture on Twitter and I saw those graphics and I saw at PAX, I was like, finally, we're going to have the answer to the one question we all wanted. When is Borderlands going to become relevant? And I think within the next 2 weeks, we will see exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is it's a great time. Obviously you had like I said, it seems to me the stars are lining up, right? Anthem came out, depending on however you feel, needs more content, needs less content, whatever, it's out, right? Division 2 comes out. It's already getting rave reviews. We've played it. Everyone on the panel played it. People in the chat have played it. We're all enjoying it. But there's something about when an OG walks back on the scene that has been absent for a while, people stop. People stop and be like, "Oh shit! Look at that dude with the pimp cane. That guy. That's an OG right there."
Right.
And this is an opportunity. Like I said, PAX East is a big deal. A lot bigger than people give it credit for. It's one of the biggest conventions for gaming outside of like your Gamescom, which is another country, and E3 here. It is a really big deal. The only PAX that rivals it is PAX Prime, where in Seattle, where it started. So I mean, it is a big deal. I like the analogy that Shady said, big fish, small pond, because everyone's going to be watching. So it is going to be extremely interesting. I am going to be glued to social media to find out what's going on. But you know what? There's a part 2 to this topic. You guys know what it is because I sent you the DM. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because it's another game that has been rumored to be in development for a very long time. I have it on good authority that Gearbox has been working on 2 games. And it was confirmed by multiple media outlets that the so-called Borderlands 3 announcement wasn't going to be the only one. And look, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to just throw it out there. They sent out a picture, which I sent to you guys. And just like the Borderlands 3 picture, because that's what I'm calling it. I don't give a shit if I'm wrong. I don't care. They sent out they sent out a second picture, and it has a bunch of wires. It has curtains. It has some circuitry in the background, and it has like a robot / something on a table. I'm calling it now. They're announcing the newest Bioshock, and it's going to blow people's shit out of the water. Okay, so now Primal, I heard you chuckling in the background because I know you got stuff to say. First of all, is it time? Is the world ready for a new Bioshock? And could this be the biggest announcement of 2019?
Yes. Before I wasn't able to play the Bioshock games because I'm a wuss, and I remember I couldn't even get out of the elevator in the first one after you saw like the shadow from the nurse or whatever it was that went by. Like I had a heart attack. But now that I'm more into Bioshock now that like I got like my big girl pants on, I think this series is absolutely amazing, and it is time for it now. We have all of these games coming out that they're not similar exactly, but they're all multiplayer looter shooters. They're all kind of similar type thing. We need a Bioshock. We need that single player experience to come back, and I think right now is the best timing for it. I am very excited because it's now like one of my new favorite series, and yeah, Boom, it's time.
I mean, think about this just for a second. The ramifications of what we're talking about here. In a single swoop, right? Gearbox has been out of the public eye for years, right? Completely out of the public eye. Right. And in a single swoop, guys, they could come in and announce a Borderlands 3 and a new Bioshock, and they immediately rocket to the top of everyone's talking point. Their stock, Take-Two stock would go through the roof if they announce these two games because they're going to be big sellers, right? So, it's just amazing to me. Like I said, these little pictures. It's not just we're releasing Bioshock for the Switch. It's not that. We know, again, we don't know for a fact. I don't have any inside, like I said, I haven't called Randy in a while. We haven't sat down for drinks. We got to catch up, Randy. If you're listening, listen, send the plane to pick me up. I'll come to wherever you are. It's not a problem. Steak medium, well done. I'm good. Okay. I think it's time for both of these franchises to return to gaming. Yes. They're so different in their own ways that with everything that's out, like you were saying, Primal, they have a place and they will rocket to the top of excellence in design as well as public speaking about these games. So Shady, I want to get your opinion on this because this was I was very excited when I put this topic together. This came in late yesterday, and I was because when you put these shows together, I for me the way I do it is I do it a week in advance. I set up I set it up where I'm adding stories and I'm constantly DMing with everyone that's going to be on the panel because I want these shows to be interesting. I don't want to talk about what everyone else is talking about because then why tune into this show, right? I mean, I'm right there with you. I listen to everyone's podcast and I don't want to hear the same shit. So that's why I put in the extra effort. That's why I'm up past 1:30 in the morning writing because I want these shows to be big. But Shady, the potential of these two big games being announced at a PAX East. What are your takes on Bioshock maybe also being announced at this gig?
Well, with both of those games, those are Take-Two games.
Yes.
Or 2K, sorry, not Take-Two. My bad. That was the wrong, but they're Take-Two. And they have been quiet. Like Gearbox has been very quiet. And the studio that is making this alleged Bioshock, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed, but let's call it alleged for now. It's from what I've gathered. I'll say who it is because the knowledge I got was on the air, so it's not a secret. It was coming from the Don, and he said that he's talked to people and knows people in the industry that they say they've been building an entire studio to build Bioshock, and this has basically been happening since before this gen started. It was at the tail end of the last gen is when they actually began this entire process, which is crazy. That's a long time, which makes me expect big things. Bioshock is a franchise, I think, that needs all the respect that the developers and the publishers, especially the publishers, can give it. I don't want it rushed. I don't want it to be a money grab at all. It has to be insane. And this is coming from someone who, I got to be real here, fraud alert, I never beat Bioshock 1 or 3. I beat 2, which is arguably the worst one. But the reason that I don't beat these games is because, like I described earlier, how I like to take my time and walk slowly, read everything, like really soak up the environment, play with the physics and stuff. These games, this series almost especially, it gets me, man. That first one, underwater in the tubes, if there was past lives, I died out in the ocean, man, because I don't like open water. I've never been in it. I don't think I'm ever going to be in it. It makes me uncomfortable. So when I can do it in my video games, it's this fantastic experience where there's nothing on the line at all. It makes me uncomfortable, but most other games, they don't do that. So I loved it, being under the water and having, like, when the leaks were coming in through the tubes, it just gave me like this creepy feeling, man. And I read like all the signs, all the lore. I loved the world that Bioshock built. It was fantastically dark, disturbing. It just had me asking all kinds of questions the whole time. Like, I just loved it. So back on the 360, I ended up not beating the first one. I made it to the forest that you're trying to clean up, if I'm mistaken. I've started it again. I plan on beating it. And then the third one, I'm not exaggerating at all here. this was when we had a gaming rig that could do some serious damage as far as graphics went. So we got Bioshock on the PC and on the 360. My roommate at the time had the 360 that he was playing it on. And we started the game at the same time. It's been out long enough. I'm not too concerned about spoilers. It's the very beginning. But when you first start, you're like all Bioshock games, you like get your way up into the area, which was amazing. Again, the lighthouse thing blasts you up into the sky. That whole intro was so good. And then you walk around for a little bit out in this nice area, with a bunch of priests and stuff, and you get baptized into a religion, which I actually recall made a huge fuss. Someone out there was very upset that you had to be baptized in the game before you could advance. They were so mad. They demanded a refund. Yada. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, yo, it's a video game. And the reason for them was it's against their religion. But I'm like, yo, killing hundreds of people throughout the game isn't? Jeez. Like, pick your battles. You know what I'm saying? But beyond that, you get baptized and everything. And then you're basically up in the city and you can kind of wander around and whatnot. So from the point of the beginning of the game to the point where I'm walking down the first alley that had that mechanical horse clomping along, it took me 4 hours. 4 hours
because you were taking your time enjoying the game.
And then some. Like when I was walking through the waist-high water and the ripples would go out and they would actually affect the floating candles that were along at the beginning, I went back and forth in that water for probably 10 minutes straight. And then when in the alley with that horse, I was ducking down and looking at the reflections coming off the water pouring down the street and the way the horse, like I was absorbing it so much. My roommate came back upstairs and he sees me sitting in that alley and he couldn't believe it. What? Like he's way beyond. He's been in gunfights, everything, like way, way farther. And I'm still literally not even done the intro. It was crazy. And that's almost as far as I got. I got a little bit further. I got to the part where we started shooting guys, and then I moved on to something else that happens a lot. I regret it. I know I'm going back to play it because it has been nothing but recommended to me as the best Bioshock, the best. The people that know me say that the story is going to resonate big. So
yeah, it's a fantastic story, and I think it has. They did the HD, treatment to it. It looks gorgeous.
It plays like I've loaded it up, and it's so smooth, and it's just great. I know I'm going to get back into it, especially if they announce a new one. I'm going to have to get back into it. But I think it's time, man. Like I said, the rumors are going that it's a thing. I think this would be massive, absolutely massive. It has been a long time. If it has been given the respect that it deserves, and I think that they just, I don't know, push the limits again. I say that with every game, but that's what I want all the time. I'm not sure where they could go. The first one was underwater. The third one was up in the sky, maybe underground. They've hollowed out some kind of an inner Earth society or something like that, which I think would be neat and feed into our modern conspiracies, or maybe have it in space on the moon or something like that. I don't know, man. I'm really excited to see where they take it. I hope it just kills it. I don't want it to pull any punches. I want it to be a very mature title. I think it's a mature franchise.
Yeah,
and I want it to stick with that. I don't want them trying to we'll make it for the 13-year-olds too.
No, they have Fortnite. They have more than enough games. Let's
make this for the adults.
Let's keep it adult.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I really hope it comes again this weekend. That would be a massive 1-2 punch. It would be a knockout 1-2 punch. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Would be pretty serious, especially with E3 still a few months away. News like that with those two franchises, both massively anticipated. If done well, of course, because there's so much pressure on those franchises to be big. It's been a long time. People love them. They are beloved. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on them to deliver. So when they do come out, man, I hope they do it, man, because I just love when a game goes all in and just blows my mind and does things that I didn't think were possible. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think both those games have the potential. Forte, before you get your opinion on this, real quick, I have to say, Rumple's Foreskin with the outstanding $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Also have to give a big thank you to, let me just pull up the chat. The Board Game Renegade, thank you so much for the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, Bronx NYC represent. That is correct. I'm originally from the Bronx. And once again, the Board Game Renegade with the additional outstanding $5 super chat. Thank you very much. He says, do you think that games like Sea of Thieves should be re-reviewed yearly, being as they grow? You know what? That's actually, that's actually a really good question. Because if when you look back at games like a Destiny 1, right? Destiny 1 was a 7.1 on Metacritic. But if you were to come into Destiny after the Taken King, you'd give that game a 9 out of 10 because the Taken King was amazing, right? And look, take again, you take Destiny 2. Destiny 2, probably around the same thing, maybe a little bit higher on the meta. But if you play it after, if you come into the game after the Forsaken DLC, big difference. Anthem is probably going to be like that as well. Sea of Thieves is being like that right now because they're constantly updating and giving you more things to do. I think that's something to possibly talk about at a later date, certainly with some of these publications. And coming in the rear, Errol Channer with the outstanding $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. But let's get back to this particular topic. Forte, look, here's the thing. We know what everyone feels about when it comes about Borderlands 3. We know everyone's excited for that. But I think that, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, I think the bigger announcement, as great as Borderlands 3 is going to be as an announcement, should it happen, man, could you just imagine a new Bioshock in the format of a Bioshock 1? Not so much 3 or 2, but bringing it back to that close quarter, claustrophobic, dark, scary, I'm nervous to turn around the corner kind of a feeling. And if Shady is absolutely correct when he said that Don did mention that he has spoken to people that have in fact been working on and putting a studio together just for a new Bioshock. Like I said, I think it's time. What are your takes and how are your excitement levels when you say Bioshock 4?
Wow. So it's been 7 years since the last Bioshock.
Yes.
March 26, 2013 is when Bioshock Infinite released. And oh boy, I have so many fond memories. Like when I beat that game, it was like I had to like talk to as many people as I possibly could because it literally opened up my eyes to what the whole series was together. So hearing that there's a 4 and knowing that this is something that could be announced in the near future, it proves that single player games are something that really, if you invest in them and you have a really good story to tell and you have a really good franchise around them, people will be excited to go back into that world. And the one thing I truly enjoyed about the first Bioshock, like you said, everybody pretty much said it, was just the atmosphere, the up close, how every corner you went around, you didn't know what to expect. It was something that it wasn't so much scary, but it was like more nerve-wracking than anything. Like when I would go into an environment, it's like, what is this room that I'm in? And then as you venture further and further into it, it starts unveiling itself. And you're like, oh, wow, time to get the heck up out of here because there's too much stuff going on in this room for me to deal with it right now. But dude, overall, just knowing that this is something that is happening really makes me happy. I really want to know I hope the direction they're going. I don't know what direction. No one really knows because Ken Levine's not involved in this one because he's not with the company no more. And he was definitely the stalwart of the first, 2 of the 3. The third was made by another publication.
I think it was the other way around. I think it was 1 and 3 that Levine.
Yeah, 1 and 3. Yeah, 1 and 3.
The second one that wasn't.
Yeah, 1 and 3 was Ken Levine. The second one was off studio that.
And you know what? Even like the third one wasn't as much Levine as the first.
No,
is there more of a supervisor kind of role?
Yeah, and I think the thing about the 3 different games, they were completely different. The second one added the multiplayer. The third one had little Easter eggs in it that tied to what the first one did, like where I didn't know, like in certain parts of the first one, when you're underwater, if you listen closely, you can hear the songbird die in the first game, where that happens in the last game. And I went back and looked at a couple of Easter eggs on that. I was like, holy crap, that's true. You can actually hear the songbird dying underwater. But it's Oh man, I words cannot express if this was to be something that was to happen. Borderlands and Bioshock are two of one of my favorite franchises. And they'll be more than welcome to the new generation with games. And I just would love to see what they can do with an engine like the Xbox One X or PS5 or whatever the next Xbox is going to be, pushing that atmosphere even further, because we've seen what games like Resident Evil 2 could do when it comes to the atmosphere of a game. So what do you think Bioshock can do if they was to actually implement those type of tropes, what they did with the rest of these games?
Oh, yeah. There's a developer actually called Moonfish, and they're making a game called Atomic Heart. I believe they're a Russian developer. And this Atomic Heart game screams Bioshock. I think they actually say that it's one of their biggest influences when they made it. I urge everyone to check it out. It's very, very next gen looking. It's using like all the new RTX, not RTX. What the hell is that lighting called? Oh, I forgot. The wicked
RTX.
Is it RTX?
Yes, RTX.
Okay, yeah, it's using all that. Like, it just looks amazing, and it's got that weird Bioshock almost aesthetic to it, like science gone mad. Even the characters have a look. It looks so good. So if we don't get a Bioshock announcement anytime soon, at least there's kind of maybe that to fall back on. But as soon as I saw that trailer, I was just like, oh my God, I need another Bioshock, like really bad. Even though I haven't beaten the two best ones, I need to see what a new Bioshock with today's tech can deliver. It will be mind blowing. I know it.
And the biggest thing with that is take your time on it. Yes. I mean, I know everybody is super hungry for another Borderlands game. And I think, like you said earlier, Borderlands has probably evolved greatly from what it was probably going to be earlier this generation to what it's going to be now. And knowing that Bioshock is going to be one of those franchises that people love, take your time on it. Don't rush it out. If it's not ready until 2021, trust me, it's going to be a better game if you wait and give us exactly what we want in that type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I definitely. Listen, all I can say is this: I think the gaming world is going to be paying attention to PAX East more now than ever, because they're gonna Gearbox is going to be there in a big way, and they are going to be announcing 2 games. Like I said, they've said it. It's out there. It's not a rumor that they may announce 2 games. They're gonna announce 2 games, and they put out 2 pictures. One looks like a Bioshock game, one looks like a Borderlands game. So I'm sorry, I'm all in. Even if I'm wrong, I'll publicly admit it. I'll do a rebuttal. I'll stand on my head and whatever. But listen, this needs to happen for the gaming space. And it's time. These franchises have spent far too much time in the shadows. I'd like to see them being brought back to us in a big way, and I can't see it being any better and more exclusive than like a PAX East, which is a more intimate gaming event, because it's not as big as some of the other ones, but it's big enough that all of the eyes of the gaming world, including the media, is going to be there. But you know what? We have a Battlefield 5 release yesterday where they showed the Firestorm trailer. Look, here's the thing, guys. I don't have Battlefield 5. That trailer made me. I know. It's shamefully enough. It's just it's just too many games. I just never got it. You know what I'm saying? So I will actually course correct that and pick that up. But that Firestorm trailer, I'm not a battle royale guy. Like, I played Apex Legends. I enjoyed it a lot, but I've always enjoyed Battlefield's multiplayer. And when I saw this, look, they know how to make a trailer, but if the game plays anything like what they showed, I am all in. Okay. What they showed yesterday, not only blew my mind, but it made me realize that yes, EA. We're not talking about EA, the scumbag company. We're talking about the Battlefield 5. So I want to kind of remove that from the conversation, because we know who EA is, we know who Activision is, we know who the bad guy is, right?
This is about DICE,
right? This is about DICE redeeming themselves on a ho-hum Battlefield 5 release. Okay, and when I saw this trailer, the first thing that came to mind was like, whoa, okay. EA, or more specifically, the makers of Titanfall, Respawn, have a hit on their hands with Apex Legends. It's taken the world by storm, and it's really put the screws to Fortnite. No doubt about it. But then I see this trailer, and there were some people like, it's a little too late. I don't think it's going to do anything. I have to disagree with that statement. I think that it's so different than Fortnite. It's so different than PUBG, and it's so outrageously different than Apex Legends that I think that this two-pronged attack that EA is about to unleash on the gaming world with bookends, Apex Legends on the left, and now Battlefield 5's Firestorm on the right, I think that they could topple Fortnite, but I also, more importantly, think that they could coexist because they're so different. Panel, this is where I want to talk to you. Primal, you saw the trailer. I asked everyone to watch it. How excited were you when you saw this trailer? And do you agree with my statement that both these titles could, without cannibalizing one another, coexist for EA?
I believe that they can coexist. The trailer did get me kind of interested. Well, a little more than interested. I am a fan, kind of battle royale games if they're done well. I didn't bother with Fortnite. I played one match and I uninstalled it. And then PUBG, I gave up after they shot my tire and I fell through the map and drowned. So that got uninstalled. And then Apex has me pretty damn good right now. But Battlefield just has a completely different take on it. So it wouldn't be like you're playing the same exact game on a different map. It would be playing a completely different kind of game. I am very interested in it. And I believe that for a battle royale game to come out, you need to take all the tips and pointers and the things that work from previous games and make it better. So hopefully they do that and they recognize what works and they can be successful. If they don't, I feel like that they will not make it. But it's the only way that they'll be able to generate any type of players or anything like that is if they do what somebody else is doing, but better, plus something new on their own. It's the only way. It does look really cool. I like the Ring of Fire. I got Johnny Cash stuck in my head after I saw it. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I think that what you're saying about it has to be done right. I listen, I have complete faith in DICE as a developer. They have been the standard for years. And I think that them throwing their hat into this battle royale, craze or phenomenon, whatever you want to call it, is interesting. Shady, look, the one thing that Apex Legends has is, it has, sliding on the ropes, all over the place, dropping out of the plane, with three-man team. It has your standard pick up a gun, find weapons, shoot each other. But they added a different flavor. The leader's face and the team is on the board, and there's an announcer saying the new kill leader is this, and everyone's gunning for you. All these different quirks that make you interested to play the game. Of course, the different characters, all the hero characters, if you will, they're all so different and they're all so exciting. You want to try them all, just like you would, in any other type of shooter like that. But what it seems to me that what the Battlefield guys are doing with this Ring of Fire is adding the vehicles in a way that always made the Battlefield series stand out. The tank battles, you saw that when the two teams landed, they each ran into a barn. The barn on the right starts shooting, blowing out all the windows, and all you see from the barn on the left is they shoot out goes dunk, and it's just a red smoke, and a bomb drops, destroying the entire bomb. The entire barn. What do you think that the great vehicle additions to this new battle royale game are going to do for DICE and this new mode?
I think it's going to do a lot actually for the entire genre, the battle royale genre, because Fortnite has airplanes and now they just added a hamster ball. It's like there's kind of vehicles in it, but not not on the level of what Battlefield has. Like, let's be real here. And then Call of Duty, you can get on a quad or a truck that sounds like it's running on 2 cylinders. Like, that's kind of what they don't have combat vehicles in the Call of Duty Battle Royale, and they're more of just transport. Whereas from what I've seen, even just in this trailer, like there was that one aquatic looking Jeep that was in the river.
Yes.
And it had the full team in that. And then the other guys were in the helicopter roaring in, and the one guy in the helicopter took a bunch of chest shots and his corpse just falls off the side. I loved it. Like I expect to see a lot of that. I have actually heard rumor that there's a vehicle only battle royale mode as well. So
that would be so awesome.
Like, I don't know any details on it, but in my mind, I'm assuming that the team of 4 will spawn into like an open canopy Jeep of some variety, and you can't get out. Everyone's driving around and everyone's just hanging out the windows shooting at each other or something along those lines. I don't know. I hope it's true. I think also the destruction that Battlefield brings is going to be a big thing. Yeah. Like you can take walls down and make your own way into the house and whatnot. Just the Ring of Fire in general is a wicked looking effect. I mean, it's always, of course, it's just a ring closing, but when that ring closes around the houses, it absolutely demolishes the entire house. So there's no cover to be had out there while you're trying to get back into the ring before burning to death. I wasn't sure if you were just going to die instantly or if you were going to be able to make it in. And the trailer kind of hints that you can certainly make it in at the very end. That third guy that shot the second last guy, he was the dude that was outside of the ring burning, and he ran in there and like kind of stole the kill.
Yes, that was a great end to the trailer. Yes,
yeah, I like that too. They're kind of like, hey, don't just stand there. And then the ring caught up to him and just lit him up, and his clothes were burning, but he kept running. So like the trailer, it wasn't gameplay, but when it comes to Battlefield especially, I've come to realize that the gameplay looks basically just as good as these cinematic trailers that they put together. It's using the game engine to make them. So I know that the mode is going to look fantastic, which is another thing I think that's going to stand it apart. Is Battlefield 5 is face melting. It is gorgeous as hell. And you said you don't own it now. It got a lot of guff. I was not a fan of its marketing at all. I thought it was a complete ball drop on EA.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it didn't sell poorly. It sold like 7.5 million copies. That's less than they wanted to sell, but 7.5 million, that's some serious numbers. There's a lot of people playing it. It is I think it might be my #1 favorite multiplayer this entire gen. It's that and controversial, Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm a huge Star Wars guy, so that goes a long way with me. But DICE nails their multiplayer. I really enjoyed Battlefield 1. But it had issues. There was a lot of maps in Battlefield 1 that I wasn't a fan of. When it loaded, I was just like, oh, not this map. And Battlefield is a longer mode. It's got more strategy involved in it than your typical Call of Duty. And when they just take longer. So when I'm playing a map that I'm not a fan of, it sucks. Whereas Battlefield 5, there isn't a single map that I dislike. I love them all. I have a great time in them all. I enjoy all the modes. Whereas before, I used to stick to mainly the team deathmatch, maybe the domination. Whereas I play everything here. I really like how they brought in the Tides of War events, so you can unlock some more cosmetics and things like that by doing different challenges throughout each different week. I'm huge into it. I play it almost every single day. I have hours and hours I need to play this weekend to get this Nazi uniform. Don't judge. It's a skin. But I mean, like, I want it. It looks cool, man. Hugo Boss and his company did a good job on those bastards' clothes. But like, I want it. It's at the end of this week's thing. I got to put in at least 8-9 hours, I bet. It's got to happen. It's got to. Yeah. So this mode, I think, is going to do big. I really do. I don't think it's too late to the game at all. Battle Royale players especially are always looking for something new and fresh. Because that's generally what they play. And if that's all you play, when something else big hits the scene that's doing what you enjoy, you're going to check it out at least. I expect it to be really pushed by all the influencers on Twitch. It's going to do big numbers on there. I'm excited for this mode. I like that trailer a lot. I also heard that like there is, when you go out, you have to loot like every single battle royale. But in this game, you just pick up the guns. You're not adding sights and extended magazines and chokes and all that kind of stuff. You just pick up the M16. No, it wouldn't be an M16, obviously. It would be like an M1 Garand. And it's the same M1 Garand that everyone else will be picking up. And it's the rare legendary items that are actually scoped out and kitted out to be badass. So you're not spending all your time looking for little tiny things. I like that simplified version of it because I think some of those other games are a little bit too much where the meta comes into play, and everyone is using one gun with one scope, with the one clip swap and stuff like that. And anything else is you're at a disadvantage. So by keeping it simplified this way, I think that's a good move. I really do. And I just hope that they can vary it up. The thing with Fortnite, I think it's successful because the amount of changes they can implement into that game really fast. There's so many skins that they have for sale, which has a lot of people crack addicted to, for the good or the bad. And I'm not sure if Battlefield can keep up on that. Again, it's based in reality, not a zany cartoon. So it'll hurt there, but I think it's going to do really well. I think it's going to challenge Call of Duty, maybe even Apex, but considering it's the same company, I'm sure they'd gladly take spots 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 and have no problem with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I didn't even know about the vehicle mode. Forte, I want to get your opinion on that because that actually is, the one thing I kept reading on Twitter and you hear in different podcasts, it's too late. They're out of the game. They're late to the party. Get them out. But when you look at that trailer and you see how things are going, and you see that they're adding the vehicles, and you see the way that they're flying in, and now we're hearing, thanks to Shady, because I didn't even know about this. There's rumor that it's going to be an all vehicle mode, which no one has done yet. No one has done anything like that. This is exactly the difference that I'm saying that why Apex Legends and Battlefield 5's new mode could bookend and sandwich. I'm not saying they're going to crush or kill Fortnite. Fortnite is always going to be big because it's free, and it's going to be always big with the younger generation because it's free. They can play it on everywhere, their phones, their Switches, on the go, at home. But this has the potential to really do something special for DICE as a developer, and I guess bring them back to the greatness that we know that they can be. What are your takes on what you saw?
So for what I saw, there is only 2 companies that make trailers that I look forward to when they release them, and one is DICE and one is Bungie, because they know how to cut a trailer to get you excited for something that even if you're like kind of bored and tired of the IP a little bit, like I was with Battlefield 5 for a while, like I was with Destiny for a while, they put out a trailer and then you're like, I'm back in. I have to get back in, because it's like, and they know how to drop these trailers. They drop them at the right time when they know games are coming out that's going to have a lot of people's attention. They say, nope, we're going to let you play those other games, but we're going to pull you right back in by showing you something that's in this game. So I didn't know, like you just said, I didn't know about the all vehicle battle mode, but it kind of makes sense because DICE doesn't do things by accident. At the very end of that trailer, they cut from the regular trailer to a scene where your team is opening up a bunker that has a tank inside of it. So that actually makes sense, where you might have a game mode where you as a team have to work together in like a vehicle to be able to go around and take other people out. Because if it was just part of the battle royale, they would have just showed it in regular gameplay, but they actually cut away to show that as a separate thing. So I guarantee that's probably there's a lot of validity to what he said on that. So that's a really good insight on that, Shady. But when it comes to just them coexisting together, like all of these games, I think Apex and Battlefield's Ring of Fire can definitely coexist because they're 2 different spectrums. Fortnite's in its own little lane because it appeals to pretty much everybody when it comes to the mobile market and everything. This pretty much kills. Like if PUBG wasn't dead already, this did it. This right here is what's going to pull. This right here is what's going to pull the people left that probably play that game, and the little bit of people. Well, there's still a lot of people that played the blackout mode for Call of Duty, but the blackout mode and Apex kind of cross over to each other. We know Apex isn't going anywhere because it does battle royale right.
Yes, correct.
And we know Fortnite's not going nowhere because they're just too big. Plus, they like to reinvent their game off other people's stuff.
You basically
to make it better.
They steal stuff. Yeah. They steal everything.
But you know what? I respect them for that because they keep their game updated, and that's what the Unreal Engine allows them to do.
Yes,
it allows them to keep that game updated, and that game's not going nowhere just because of that. But when it comes to this Battlefield game, I was a firm believer when they first announced it and they said they were delaying it to middle of 2019. I was like, oh, it's done. It's like, why? There's no reason to release it because Call of Duty, we only knew Call of Duty was coming, but at that time, Fortnite was still huge, was really huge, and PUBG was still one of the bigger games too. So a lot has changed in the battle royale realm as of lately, and I think that this game, especially with DICE and knowing that their pedigree and big maps, destruction, multiplayer element, team play, I think this can be huge for EA, and the fact that EA allowed them to take the time to build this all the way out, and we all know EA is the evil empire. They want as much money as they possibly can, but they did allow DICE to make the game that they wanted to make and delay this battle royale to make sure it was right. And I really appreciate that. And I'm looking for really big things to it. And I'll be in this day one to see exactly what it's like when it comes out.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm so excited that I'm definitely going to be picking up Battlefield 5.
Real quick on that, Boom. If you don't want to pick up Battlefield 5 and you haven't already, spend the $5, become an EA access. EA access for the month.
He just ain't downloaded
it. 10 hours, right? You got 10 hours to play it there, and you can play that on multiplayer. There's no wall that they'll put in front of you in multiplayer for those 10 hours. For anyone out there, easy to try.
Yeah, no, I was telling everybody, I was talking to somebody in the chat. I'm saying EA Access is the best deal going, especially when you buy the year for $30.
Oh yeah,
the best deal going. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? I another topic popped up last night, and this is a good one. I think everyone on this panel is going to appreciate this because we've been playing games for quite some time, and Warner Brothers announced a partnership with Turtle Rock Studios. And they announced something called Back 4 Blood. And of course, if you know who Turtle Rock Studios is, they are the original creators of Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Now, when I saw this, my hype levels were immediately up to 20. This is what this is the announcement directly from Warner Brothers. It says Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment and Turtle Rock Studios have announced Back 4 Blood, and it's spelled like Left 4 Dead. It's Back 4, the number 4, Blood, from the creators and development team behind the critically acclaimed co-op phenomenon Left 4 Dead. Now, of course, they had to throw that in there. And it says Back 4 Blood is designed from the ground up as an original premium title and marries the best of what made the co-op zombie shooter so successful with new features and state-of-the-art technology. So here's the exact statement from Turtle Rock. It says here, we are this is actually from Warner Brothers. We are thrilled to partner with the proven Turtle Rock Studios team on Back 4 Blood to advance the co-op zombie genre forward with innovation multiplayer gameplay. And this was this statement came from David Haddad, who's the president of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. He says the talented team at Turtle Rock has been developing amazing games together for a long time, and this is the game. This is a great opportunity to work with them and create a new gaming universe built specifically with a large co-op zombie shooter community in mind. And it said he also continues with, it's hard to overstate what an awesome opportunity this is. We get to return to a genre that was born in our studio with over 10 years of additional experience and zombie ideas racked up in our brains. And this comes from Chris Ashton, who's the co-founder and design director at Turtle Rock Studios. We also have some of the best teammates in the business at WBIE who understand our development process and are equally committed to our player-first mentality. We love being able to announce this, and we cannot wait to show you guys more. Okay, so here's the thing. I played Left 4 Dead like it was going out of style. Mm-hmm. Now, again, Left 4 Dead 1 came out in a time where the 360 reigned supreme. It was an exclusive for that console. It was a big deal. It was 4-player, unbelievable co-op. 2 came out. Some people thought 2 was a little not as big as 1 and felt more of like an expansion. I loved it just the same. Look, the bottom line is this. this is the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead 3 that we'll never get from those assholes at Valve. Okay, they've been sitting on their hands with this franchise for too long, and I'm sick of it. Thank goodness the Turtle Rock teamed up with WB. Primal, I want to get your opinion on this. Listen, it's not called Left 4 Dead 3, but I love the fact that they put the 4 in there. It's almost like an FU to Valve. How, first of all, did you play Left 4 Dead? And with this new announcement that came late last night, are you excited to see what they're going to bring to the table?
Hell yes. Oh my God. Left 4 Dead was my shit. Played it 24/7 with bots, without bots, with whatever multiplayer scrubby random I could pick up. I didn't care. I wanted to play the game. Played it 24/7. I absolutely love the first Left 4 Dead. The second one, it was good, but I think what it was is that the characters weren't as memorable.
Yes, good point. Great point.
And it was very exciting in 2 when they had the DLC, when they brought everybody back and you can have most of both teams work together. So having this, I don't care if it's not called Left 4 Dead 3. I do think it was a little cheeky to have the 4 in there. They know what they're doing. We know what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is extremely exciting for me. There really hasn't been any other game like this before. The only one that I could say that would be kind of similar would be the Warhammer.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, that's it. But it isn't Left 4 Dead. I need to have that eerie, creepy feeling around me, hoping that my teammates have my back, hoping if I'm not getting wrapped up in someone's tongue that someone's gonna come and save me.
That pulled you into a tree.
Yes, and I'm hanging there like, help me, and then I see them walk away. That was one of the worst things for me, is having really bad teammates and you can see their little glow, like the glow shadow.
Yeah, the outline of them running away as you're getting killed.
And you just have to wait there and die. And then maybe they'll get you in a closet. But no, it's this is another one of the OG titles where it's time for them to come back and show us, hey, we're still here. Hey, we're still that game that you love. And the fact that they're not just copy and pasting, they're building it from the ground up, and that excites me because it's fresh eyes, fresh graphics, fresh engine, fresh with this game, and it needs it. Valve, I love Valve. I know they're assholes for sitting on this, because I love my Half-Life, I love my Portal, I love those games, but it's been way too long. I would be happy if they even came out with a Portal. That's another one that I would love to come back out, because I love those puzzle games. But
yeah,
anyway.
Noof Nukem in the chat says they're too busy counting their Steam money. He's correct when he says that.
Yeah. It's awful when people become greedy, because then they just become lazy and they forget how they got there in the first
place. Great point.
It's a damn shame. But yes, Boom, I'm ready. I want it. Between Borderlands and Back 4 Blood, I am a prune. I swear to you, like, I am completely pruned. And
I love it. That's great. This is why we love having you on the show, Primal. I love it. Shady, look, here's the thing. Left 4 Dead 3 is that game, like Half-Life 3 and Portal, whatever they're gonna call it. We're never gonna get these games. Valve, they don't care. They have come. For me, as a content creator, as a gamer first kind of a dude, I've come to understand that they could give a flying shit about the fan base, and it's blatantly obvious. And Noof Nukem, he says it in jest about them counting the Steam money, but that's not far from the truth. That's all they care about. And to be honest with you, I'm actually smiling from ear to ear when I see the Epic Store getting all of these exclusives, pulling it away from Steam, because maybe if they decided to make games again, this might be the kick in the ass that they need. But Left 4 Dead is a series that, when you talk about it, people could go on for days because of the fun they had with their friends. How excited were you when I added this to the DM as this late breaking story about Back 4 Blood?
Oh, it got me hyped. It got me really hyped. That second game for me was absolutely incredible. I loved the first one. I really did. But the second one, if you remember, it came out like, I think it was almost less than a year after the first game, and it got a lot of guff from the community as being too soon.
Right. They called it an expansion more than an actual sequel.
Maybe as far as the story goes, but as far as the technology involved in the sequel, it was much, 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 much better and way more improved than what the first game had on offer. You were shredding these zombies up compared to the first game, where they just kind of died with black. Like, this game was way more gory, way more violent, which is up my alley, which is what the big reason why I liked it so much. You got that machine gun of the Uzi, and you were just tearing through the zombies' guts, and you could see through it. Like, you blew out his kidney area with the shotgun, or you peeled all the skin off his back and stuff. Like, I loved it, man. I loved it. The cooperative was great. It has one of my favorite achievements I've ever gotten in the history of being, since they were a thing. And that was carrying that damn garden gnome from the beginning of the one level all the way to the end.
I remember
it was insane. That was so hard. And it felt absolutely fantastic. That one, and actually that garden gnome takes two of my favorite achievements, because in Half-Life 2, finding the garden gnome, for one, it was like under a bed. I couldn't believe it. I just looked under there. Oh my God. And I grabbed it. And then you had to carry that through like half the game and load it into a rocket to blast into space for an achievement. That felt damn good too. So that garden gnome, he holds two of them for Shady. But I'm super hyped. There has been a couple knockoff games of this genre. There was one that actually launched relatively recently. I forgot what it was called. It had aliens in it. It was nowhere near as good. There's actually another one in the store in the upcoming games section. I think it launches like next week or the week after. But that, or it might even be a month or two. Geez, you can pre-order games like half a year away now. But there are a couple games that are similar, but they're never as good in my mind. I think that a spiritual successor made by the guys that want to make the game.
Yes,
I'm hoping they want to make the game, not from a money standpoint first, but because this is something that they really enjoy doing, and by making it amazing, money will come. Like, I hope that's the order that these guys are doing it in. Whereas Valve, if they were to have done it, it would have been a money thing. When it comes to Valve not making games anymore, I know it upsets a lot of people. Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, another Portal. To be honest, I'm kind of with Valve as to why they didn't. Half-Life 3 came out at a time when gaming was first starting to get its physics engines really kind of together, and it nailed it early. When you go back and play Half-Life 2 now, to me, I don't think it's that stellar of a game, to be honest. Compared to today's stuff,
it was stellar at its time.
That's right. So, like, if I take off my rose-tinted glasses, it's just like, okay, it was what it was. And I think the expectations for the sequel are just so big, they're impossible to meet.
Yeah,
truly impossible. No matter what they deliver, there's going to be a very large contingent of the fans that are like outraged. And in today's culture, I don't like it at all, man. These guys are making art. They're making games for us to play. And when I'm not going to include myself in these group of jackasses, but like, they're getting death threats and stuff over video games. It's pretty outrageous. It's frightening, to be honest. I applaud any video game developer for continuing doing what they're doing, because it's a thankless job.
It is
very, very thankless.
I
think the community has become very, very, very entitled. They expect the world, and we have no patience anymore. No patience for mistakes that get made or anything. We're quick to point fingers. We're quick to think we're constantly being taken advantage of. Like, I just think it needs to slow down. Give some of these guys the benefit of the doubt. They're there to entertain us at the end of the day, and I thank them for it. It's been my lifelong hobby, man. So, geez, I don't blame Valve. They're making so much money on Steam that to risk the reputation of people like, I'm never buying a game on Steam again because Half-Life 3 didn't do X, Y, and Z. Like, it's not worth the risk to them. So I can understand, as much as it sort of sucks for the people that wanted those games. But I don't know, man. This spiritual successor, I hope it's real. And I hope that, like you said, they're using new technology, today's stuff. I want it to take what the last game did, the second one, with its violence and the zombies just getting shredded, and go all out. I want it to make Resident Evil 2 look tame. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the things this generation has really not taken the plunge in, and that's the levels of violence they can portray with today's graphics engines. I think the developers are scared, unless it's a zombie game or Doom, because you're fighting demons. I mean, who's going to defend that? It's kind of not there. It's sort of not really there. And I think it could be. I would like it to be. It makes me sound like a psycho, but it's just entertainment. It's a video game. I think it's weird when I shoot guys and the blood physics and stuff kind of still look like 360 and a lot of stuff. I'd like to see what's able. We got wicked liquid physics and everything else going today. Let's see what we can do. This is a zombie game, so it's no holds barred as far as society is concerned. Let's make it nuts. Just nuts. I hope it's
agree.
Real.
I absolutely agree. Well, I mean, listen, it's I'm happy to know that it's in development. When it's going to come out, they didn't say, and that's fine. Take your time, get it right. Forte, when you talk about Valve, you start to think Half-Life, you start to think Left 4 Dead, and a few others, a Portal. But the Left 4 Dead series is a series that is heralded as one of the best multiplayer zombie-based shooters ever in the history of ever. And BlackRock Studios, they're the real deal, right? I mean, they did it great then. I said BlackRock. Turtle Rock Studios they're the real deal. And Shady mentioned something. Do they really want to do it? Reading these statements from both the WB and from Turtle Rock, you can hear. And again, it's. I understand it's PR, and you're not going to get up and say, "Yeah, we're just here to collect a check, folks. So where's my money?" They're never going to say that. But at the same time, when you read these excerpts, these are direct quotes from them. I feel, anyway, I see the excitement behind their words, and they were stuck. They were waiting for Valve to give them the green light to do Left 4 Dead 3. They've been waiting for 10 years to do it, and now they have an opportunity with WB, who's not a small studio, or a publisher. They're a big publisher, and they're giving them the opportunity to make the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. It's going to be big. It's going to be exciting. It's going to look probably gorgeous. And they're going to take all of their knowledge from 1 and everything that they've been compiling for the last 10 years to make 3 and make this new game. Are you excited to see what they do?
Look, I am very excited. And I want to go back to one thing that Shady said where he talked about, he doesn't blame Valve. I do understand not blaming Valve for the times have changed and these games that we fallen in love with so long ago, like Half-Life and wanting a Half-Life 3 not coming because, expectations will be through the roof. But I will blame them for one thing, and I blame a lot of developers for this. If you're not going to do anything with the IP,
just say it.
Just say you're not going to do anything with it, or give it to someone that will do something with it. I can understand Valve wants to hold on to like the royalties from all past sales of Fallout. I mean, not Fallout, but of Half-Life and Left 4 Dead, and that's cool. But there's ways that you can literally say any future versions of a game that you create are yours, and anything that was before that is ours.
Right.
And I think that would have been a better way for Valve to like skid out of the gaming of making games and being a publisher, because I don't think they want to make games anymore. They found their niche when it came to Steam. They make buku amounts of money on it, but I just think that they should do the fans justice by either just telling them we're not going to ever do it, or we're going to give it to somebody that will do it for us or for themselves. But going back to what you just said about the game in general, Turtle Rock have been wanting to do this game for a long time.
Yeah,
very long time. And honestly, a lot of people don't know this game was only available on Steam and Xbox.
Yes.
And this was one of the stalwarts of the Xbox Live gaming servers. Like you jumped on Xbox to play Left 4 Dead, Gears of War, Call of Duty, and Halo. Those were the games you played. That's all you played on Xbox back then. And the reason Left 4 Dead did so well is because back then, well, even to this day now, 360 Xbox still has the stigma of being a shooter box. Left 4 Dead was the perfect antidote for that, because people can go with their friends, 4-player co-op, go in with bots, do whatever you wanted to do, and enjoy that story all the way from the first one to the second one, even the DLC. I just think that is very, very coy that they're actually using the word 4, the number 4 in there.
I like that.
Back for blood. So it's kind of like a big play on words, like, hey, we can't call it Left 4 Dead, but we're back for more blood in the Left 4 Dead universe. So I just think this is something that a lot of people are going to be super excited for, especially when they find out that the developer behind it. If you just say Back for Blood, it's like, okay, who's that? But then you hear Turtle Rock's behind it, like, oh,
yeah, you stop and listen.
You stop and listen. So I think that this is going to be something that's going to be huge for the people that are really stalwarts and really love the Left 4 Dead franchise. And I'm 100% there when they finally release that trailer and let us know exactly what they have on their hands.
You know what else this news confirmed? That was a little while ago where it was rumored that Microsoft was going to buy Turtle Rock.
It was.
This confirms that's a no, because they're obviously working with another company. It's not happening. So there's no Turtle Rock with Microsoft. I think that's a bit of a bummer myself. I think they're a great company. Evolve was gorgeous. That alien world you got to play on was absolutely fantastic. I found the game a little bit flawed myself, but graphically and mechanically, it was great. So to see them be able to take something that they want to do, which has always been this Left 4 Dead, now they can't call it that, but they can make the game that they want. I'm excited for it.
I wouldn't put off the fact that Microsoft still is in that purchasing phase, because we seen them just buy Obsidian and they have a game that's coming out that's being published by somebody else too. So
they do, but that was a long time in development.
It was a long. You're right. It was a long time ago.
Just starting. So if they're just getting into bed with another company, it'd be weird to sell yourself to Microsoft. I'm not sure. I think it's way low chance now with
it's probably a lower chance now, but I think Microsoft, being the company that wants to put their games everywhere, really doesn't care.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, listen, I'm going to say this. We're over the 2-hour mark by 10 minutes. This has been an outstanding show from start to finish. What I didn't realize when, as I'm writing, sometimes you don't realize the kind of show you're putting together. This was a real throwback show to like the older games making a possible comeback. The Borderlands 3, Bioshock, the Left 4 Dead type of series. We're talking about, DICE and the way that, Battlefield used to be played. This was a really great show. You guys were absolutely fantastic on the panel. Lots of great answers, lots of incredible opinions. The chat, once again, was phenomenal from start to finish. Again, you guys were keeping it real with each other. You were playing nice. You were being friends. That's what these chats are supposed to be. So let's come and hang out with your friends, talk about video games, get excited and be passionate about the craft that we all know and love. And of course, the donations, the super chats were just unbelievable today. Thank you so much for that. And let's get everybody out of here. First of all, Primal. Once again, congratulations on scoring that job. That's a big deal for you.
Yes.
I'm very happy that it happened. You're doing really great with the show with Noof Nukem. I think you guys are rolling into your 9th episode coming up. I think it is. Eighth. I think it's the 8th or 9th episode. I've listened to them. They're a little bit more adult, if you will, which is great because it's something different. But you do bring a solid 50% to that show. You guys work fantastic with each other. Please tell everyone where they can listen to this show, but more importantly, follow you on Twitter.
All right, guys, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter at PrimalEve. You can also follow me on the Xbox and PSN also as PrimalEve. And if you want to hear more of my mouth, the show is 18 plus. It is a mature show. It's called Gaming After Dark, and my co-host is Noof Nukem, and he's here in the chat. That airs Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. on Noof's YouTube channel. It is 18 plus. I am warning all of you. And then also, if you guys want, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on my Mixer channel,
nice.
I am going to be in a Gears of War 4 tournament. It is a 1v1. And what makes it even better is it is up against one of my former panelists from the Game Dosage podcast, Invader.
Oh, so good.
It is going to be a very fun and good time. A lot of people are putting their money on me. Wink, wink. But no, it's definitely, it would be great to see some of you guys there, and it's bound to be a good time.
Yeah, if you check the show notes, the link for her Twitter account as well as her Twitch account is there. Click it, subscribe, and tune in for tonight's Prime. That sounds like it's going to be awesome. Good luck to you. My money's on you. Sorry, Invader, if you're listening. I apologize. So Shady. Dude, listen, it's always a pleasure to have you on here. You're a passionate gamer. You have a big voice in the community. I really enjoy our conversations about gaming. You are an old school cat, even though you're not as old as me, because, I am the old bastard in the room, and I'm okay with that. That's no problem. You have been making the rounds on many, many shows, and I think you do bring something special to each show you're on. Please tell everyone where you could possibly turn up next and where they can follow you and the Sesh Empire on Twitter.
First of all, Boom, I want to say thank you so much for having me. Primal Gaming Forte, thank you so much for being just an awesome panel. I love coming on the show, Boom. I'm glad to be a part of it and to be coming back more often. It makes me feel good inside, bud. And second, don't call me an old cat. It's So Shady, a.k.a. Peter Pan. I come from Never Neverland. We don't never grow up. Once you grow up, you don't get to come back, all right? I'm an 80s Toys R Us kid. We don't grow up. Never. But beyond that, I am So Shady at the Sesh Empire on Twitter. On Xbox, I am just So Shady. Every now and then I pop up here on Booms. I do bounce around the community. This week on Wednesday actually is my very first appearance, my debut, if you will, on the Xbox Nation Xbox Factor podcast.
Yes.
So I'm excited for that. Crap actually is the guy that got me into the community, man, with his magnetic titling. I clicked and I couldn't stop. I found the community and I've been here for 2 solid years. I've been lucky enough to be a part of these shows for almost a year now. I love it, man. I just wouldn't trade it. It's fantastic. Thanks to anyone that'll have me on their show, from the biggest of the big to the smallest of the small. If you can be decent to each other, we love video games. That is all I need to have in common to talk about them with you. We don't have to agree. I'm not out to change anyone's mind. Just share how my mind works. That's all it is. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a killer weekend. Enjoy the games. Peace.
Nice, great to have you on. And like I said, his link is in there as well. If you want to follow him on Twitter, just check the show notes. And last but certainly not least, Gaming Forte. Listen, dude, I always have a blast hanging out with you, whether it's on this show or whether you're on a guest on maybe when you pop on Crossfire, or of course when you're on BRAP. That is where I think you guys really, really shine, because you guys have such an amazing chemistry. Everyone on that panel is a gentleman and a scholar. Please tell everyone where they can follow you, but more importantly, check out your amazing YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, appreciate that, Boone. Definitely gaming_4K on Twitter. It's Gaming Forte on YouTube. I do all types of videos, mostly Xbox. I'm all into looter shooters, but I'm just branching out to different games and stuff, and just talking about all the stuff that I like to talk about. And outside of that, guys, I do want to drop. I always say I'm gonna give you guys some sale news whenever stuff pops up. So today is the last day. Division is launching, and there is a Division bundle available for you to go out and buy for the Xbox One X. Yes. It is $4.99, but if you are still sitting on your Xbox One S and you want to get rid of it to upgrade, you can pick up Division with an extra game, any $60 game free for $2.75 at any GameStop you go to.
That's crazy.
If you trade in your S towards the Division bundle, and then pick whatever $60 game you want for free. Today's the last day to get the $60 game. The actual promotion for the trade-in of the S's go all the way through the 30th. So you can always, so if you're thinking about getting the X and the new systems are a little bit further out for you, jump on that before today so you can get you a couple of games basically for free.
That's bananas, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, if you've been on the fence about an X, I'm telling you right now, you got to get one. It's the best console on the market, and it's probably going to remain the power king until late 2020 when the PS5 and the Anaconda release. Great information, dude. That was a great public service announcement. You see that? You're taking down the man from the inside and giving back to the people. I appreciate that. That's a freaking killer deal. Like I said,
Yeah, just trying to be in the male version of Lady Foxfire.
Yes, Foxy Deals. All right, we got to come up with a moniker for you. So, because she has the Foxy Deals, we're gonna have to nautical deals. I don't know if that rings off the.
No, we'll figure something.
We'll figure something out. But listen, once again, everyone.
real quick, Boom. Sorry, I think I said I'm going to be on the Xbox Factor podcast.
Yes, actually, you mean Xbox Nation.
I did mean Xbox Nation. Excuse me. I've been awake for like 27 hours. The life of a hardcore gamer, man. But it is Xbox Nation this Wednesday. I'm excited. Like I said, it's my first time on the show. Come on out. Hopefully you will support me. If you like what you hear, tell Crap and Mooch that maybe you'd like to see more of me, because I'd like to get on there as much as I can.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. I'll be listening to that. And real quick, before we get out of here, if you're not familiar with the Iron Lords podcast, you should be. They're personal friends of mine. Their podcast that happens every Sunday is nothing short of one of the best shows on the market. I really, really put them on a high pedestal, because those guys are the real deal. They're real gamers. They just launched an actual website. It's called the Lords of Gaming. It's a legit website. And yours truly was asked to write an article, first time ever. And I wrote my first article, 1,400 words. And it's an opinion piece. It's being put to print as we speak. I will be sending out a link. But if you didn't know, Enrique from the BRAP podcast put up an incredible article. So get over there and read that. And also Jay Fonzarelli did an incredible piece that I think everyone needs to go there and give it a read. So lordsofgaming.net. Head over there, tell them Boom sent you, and subscribe to the Iron Lords podcast, because those guys deserve it. It's a great show, lots of fun. You're laughing from start to finish. But anyway, everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for spending over 2 hours on a show that I really work hard to put together. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Once again, thank you to my chat. Thank you to my panel. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. And now we're all going to run and play Division 2. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Later.
Have a good